What up, good people? It's me, Johnny, back at it again with another video. And today is another one of those opinion. Well, I guess every video that's done is opinionated, but this one is mostly strictly opinion. Yes, I'm going to be bringing some stats, but I wanted to talk about now that the NBA season is officially over with, it's all wrapped up. That said, there's been a lot of talk this year about MVP. And I want to talk about it because I find it interesting. And really, in my opinion, the MVP has come down. It's a three-horse race, in my opinion. And that's between the reigning, defending champion in Nikola Jokic when it comes to the NBA championship. I know Embiid won it last year and, he got one. Congrats to him. Kudos. But Jokic is one of the top buyers, Luka Doncic, who was actually my preseason favorite for MVP, is another. And then last but certainly not least is Shea Gildress Alexander, SGA as he's known by. And this young man is something special. I mean, he led his team to the number one seed in the very tough Western Conference. So he is certainly deserving to be in this conversation. But with that said, even though I know it's a three-horse race, and even though Luka Doncic is and was my preseason favorite, I think the answer is pretty clear that the person who should win should be Nikola Jokic, and for a variety of reasons. Now, I know that, watching and listening to certain sports commentators, for whatever reason, they really do not want to give Nikola Jokic that Roman Reigns treatment. They don't want to acknowledge him. I don't know why that is, considering how great he is. I mean, if you look at Nikola Jokic's numbers this season that he's been able to put up, he's been nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, he looking at his regular season, 26.4 points per game, which is 10th in the league, 12.4 rebounds, 9.0 assists on, pretty efficiently ridiculous shooting splits of 58, 35, 136 on the three-point line, and then 81.7 or 82 if you round it percent from the free throw line. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And then when you go and even look at his advanced numbers, I mean, he's pretty much either first in everything outside of true shooting. He's 10th, but still that's a top 10 finish in true shooting. And for a volume shooter, that's pretty great. And then he's first in all the other advanced metrics. Now, I know that since Luca and SGA, they do have a case to be made. Let's look at their case, right? And let's see, for anybody who thinks they're the MVP, let's look at some of their stuff. Luca for this season has done pretty well himself. He has a league high average of 33.9 points per game, which is the highest of his career. So he got his scoring title. So kudos to that young man. Over 9 rebounds, almost 10 assists, which is second in the league, which is pretty great. So he darn near almost averaged a triple double on 48, 38, and 78, 79 shooting splits, if you will. Looking at his advanced numbers, I mean, he did pretty well for himself. Also, I mean, career high when it came to true shooting percentage. His PER was pretty great. He's basically top five in every advanced metric. And then when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, they didn't finish in the play-in. They finished with a pretty good seeding, winning, over 50 games this year. And for some of that time, he actually was playing without Kyrie Irving, I think for like 25 games in the season or something like that. So, I mean, he really, really did a phenomenal job and he had a phenomenal season. Now, to the number one seed, though, and this young man, I like his rise. And I know the Clippers are kicking themselves right now for trading him for Paul George. But with that said, SGA is another one of those up and coming studs who I think at some point, could be the face of the league, dare I say. But that said, let's take a look at his numbers. So when you look at it, he averaged, 30 points a game, which is pretty spectacular. 5.5 rebounds, over 6 assists on 53, 35, and 87 shooting splits. which is pretty great. I mean, that's pretty great numbers. And then again, looking at his advanced metrics, I mean, he's pretty much top five in every advanced metric. True shooting, he highs of his career when it came to that stat. So, I mean, SGA really, really balled out this year. Even though, again, they're all deserving. Let me tell you why Jokic, in my opinion, is this year's MVP. For starters, SGA, he actually had basically his full team outside of, some role players going out, but his starting five, they pretty much been healthy the entire season. He finally got Chet Holmgren, in his second year, coming off that injury to actually play in Chet has been pretty great. And along with his other cast, but he's had his supporting team, so he really hasn't had to deal with injuries like that. When I talk about Luka, again, Kyrie Irving missing about 25 games, 25, 26 games, something like that. And Luka being able to do what he did without his second best player is pretty great. Jokic did basically the exact same thing as Luka, but obviously won more games, which is why when you look at his value over replacement, he obviously ranks first in the league because he's just that much valuable as a player for his team than anybody else. And mind you, Jamal Murray for a lot of this year was hurt, which is his second best player. The crazy thing is, though, Jokic with his team, he's not playing with any all star on his team. None of the guys who play for his team, though he has a great team, are all stars. Now, you could say that about SGA, right? But Luka Doncic is actually playing with Kyrie Irving, who again has been an all star in his career and probably a future Hall of Famer at some point. Jokic hasn't had that. We just take for granted how great this guy is because his team is always so good. They won a championship last year, and again, he did that again without an all-star caliber team member on his team. Yes, I know you can argue that, Murray is all-star caliber. However, he gets hurt so much that he just doesn't really put up the numbers in the regular season to be able to support him being voted as an all-star. Therefore, yep, Jokic is having to carry that load, and the man is just phenomenal. So Jokic, in my opinion, will win his third MVP in 4 years. Should have been four straight, but media politics and all. But I think Jokic this year, with these numbers and his stats and the way his team has played and the position he's put his team in, I just don't think there's any way you could give this MVP to anybody else, realistically speaking. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If y'all think Jokic is the MVP and you agree with me, or if you think whether it be Luka or SGA or anybody else is the MVP, who's your MVP? Let me know in the comments. But until the next video, I will talk to you all later. Take care.